My name is Linda Rangel, and when I was 25, I received the message that would finally confirm what my heart had quietly known for years. It came at exactly 7:42 p.m. on a Thursday night. Short, cold, and businesslike. No greeting, no explanation. Just my father's clipped tone. The same tone he used when talking to clients, not daughters. Don't bother coming to the family reunion. We're cutting ties. 18 words, including the pause before he hung up. I listened once, not because I didn't believe it, but because I wanted to feel something rage heartbreak. Something sharp enough to prove it mattered. But all I felt was stillness. It was as if the part of me that had been bracing for this moment had finally exhaled. I was the youngest of two. My father, Warren Rangel, built Rangel Autowear from a one-car garage into a regional franchise empire. My brother Rhett was the golden heir, loud, magnetic, born to charm. I was the quiet one, the one who kept things running, who balanced the books, who stayed late to fix what Rhett broke. I didn't call my father back that night. I didn't ask for explanations or forward the voicemail to my mother, Lynette, who had long mastered the art of looking away when things became uncomfortable. I simply sent 2 words, understood. Then I opened my laptop, logged into the business loan portal, and made the choice no one in my family ever imagined I'd make. I removed my name. 2 years earlier, I had co-signed a $2.5 million expansion loan to help the family business grow. The bank had required a secondary applicant with spotless credit and a strong financial history. Rhett was buried in debt. My father had over-leveraged his assets, and I, with my Harvard MBA and clean record, became the perfect solution. No one asked if I was comfortable. They just placed the papers in front of me, a pen uncapped, and waited. Back then, I believed loyalty meant belonging. I believed family was worth sacrifice. Now, sitting in my small apartment with the voicemail still echoing, I realized the truth. They hadn't cut me off, they'd only made official what they'd been doing all along. I thought my father valued order, but it was never about order. It was about control. He built his company the way he built our lives, brick by brick, rule by rule, with no room for softness. The garage came first, the family came second, sometimes third. He used to say, "We don't hire outsiders, we raise replacements." And that's what Rhett and I were, replacements in training. Rhett got the charm, I got the clipboard. By 12, I was logging tire shipments into QuickBooks. By 16, I was running payroll during spring break. I didn't volunteer. I obeyed. My mother wasn't cruel, just invisible in her own way. She smiled through dinners, folded invoices between washing dishes, and whispered, "Your father's building something for us, sweetheart. Be grateful." So I worked, studied, earned my degree, turned down a high-paying job offer in Chicago because Dad said family before ambition. I told myself I was helping build a legacy, not realizing I was just helping him maintain control. 2 years ago, when the company was ready to expand, I did everything: negotiated leases, secured funding, ensured a favorable interest lock, but the bank wanted a co-signer. Rhett's credit was trashed. Dad wouldn't risk his assets, so they turned to me again. I signed, believing I was investing in my family's dream. In truth, I was signing away my independence. No one said thank you. They didn't need to. They assumed it was my duty. For a while, I convinced myself that invisibility was love, that silence meant peace. But silence isn't peace. It's erasure. The first sign that something was shifting came during a quarterly meeting. I flagged a duplicate vendor invoice, $12,000, charged 3 times. Rhett laughed it off, said it was a friend and to let it slide. I looked at Dad, waiting for support, but he didn't even look up. Focus on bigger things, Linda. Stop acting like an outsider. Outsider. The word burrowed deep under my skin. I wasn't a new hire. I had kept this company alive through late nights and broken systems. In truth, I was signing away my independence. No one said thank you. They didn't need to. They assumed it was my duty. For a while, I convinced myself that invisibility was love, that silence meant peace. But silence isn't peace. It's erasure. The first sign that something was shifting came during a quarterly meeting. I flagged a duplicate vendor, invoiced $12,000, charged 3 times. Rhett laughed it off, said it was a friend and to let it slide. I looked to Dad, waiting for support, but he didn't even look up. Focus on bigger things, Linda. Stop acting like an outsider. Outsider? The word burrowed deep under my skin. I wasn't a new hire. I had kept this company alive through late nights and broken systems. I was preparing. A few weeks later, I reached out to an old classmate, Danielle Keller, now a corporate attorney. I asked her one question. If a cosigner withdraws from a business loan, what happens? Her pause told me everything. If you're not a guarantor and there's evidence of internal misuse, you can withdraw quietly. Legally, I exhaled. Not out of relief, but recognition. I wasn't crazy to protect myself. I was late. Months later, a credit alert revealed something strange, a payment delay under a dormant company name, Rangel Holdings. It was one of Dad's old shell corporations, supposedly inactive. But when I dug deeper, I found the truth. The business was behind on payments. 3 months late, my name was still listed on the loan as a reason for continued goodwill because my credit was clean. They were using me, even after cutting me out. My signature had become their safety net. I pulled old files, matched invoices, tracked expenses. The numbers didn't just show carelessness, they showed fraud. $40,000 in consulting fees funneled through one of Rhett's friends. Marketing expenses with no actual campaigns. Fake repairs billed 3 times. I wasn't angry anymore. I was calculating. I met Danielle again, this time face-to-face at a cafe near the courthouse. I showed her everything. She flipped through my evidence slowly, eyes steady, expression unreadable. When she looked up, she said, "You're not listed as a guarantor." My pulse quickened, meaning she leaned in, meaning they used your name to secure the loan, but you're not legally bound if you withdraw before restructuring. I asked her what to do. She smiled faintly. You don't need to confront them. Don't warn them. Just move the brick holding up their wall and let it fall. That night, I renamed the folder on my computer. No longer Shadow Ledger. Now, it was Redemption Plan. Inside were every document, email, and record I needed to reclaim my freedom. I logged into the loan portal, used the administrative credentials I'd set up years ago, and clicked Remove Co-Applicant. I uploaded Danielle's withdrawal letter, signed digitally, and pressed Submit. The screen flashed once, then displayed. Update received. Processing pending compliance review. No alarms. No warnings. Just silence. I emailed the bank's loan manager, Keith Hare, attaching evidence of fraud and financial discrepancies. I didn't accuse anyone. I just provided the facts. Within an hour, the bank froze Rangel Holdings, operating accounts, and launched an internal audit. Quietly, discreetly, without my father's knowledge. While they scrambled, I called my accountant, confirmed that I had zero liability, and secured my savings in a protected trust. For the first time in my life, I turned off my phone and slept through the night. When I woke up, my phone showed 32 missed calls. By noon, 78, my mother, my father, Rhett, even the company accountant. When I finally played the latest voicemail, it was Gordon. Panicked. Linda, the loan's collapsing. The bank pulled support. We're at risk of default. You need to fix this. His desperation didn't sound like love or leadership. It sounded like justice. By evening, Rhett's messages came in. What the hell did you do? Then, you're overreacting. We could have fixed this internally. The word "we" meant nothing anymore. There hadn't been a "we" for years. Later that night, my mother called. Her voice was trembling, small. Sweetheart, your father says the bank froze everything. Did you sign something? I said calmly. I removed my name. She gasped. You can't just do that. Actually, I replied, I can. And I did. She tried again. This affects all of us. No, I said softly. You made sure it didn't. Then I hung up, not in anger. In completion, the next morning, I arrived at Rangel Autowear headquarters for the first time in 6 months. It was raining. The kind of thin, steady drizzle that soaks through your clothes before you realize you're cold. I didn't bring an umbrella. Let it fall, I thought. The company building stood just as I remembered. Glass front, chrome signage. confidence built into its structure. But now, there was a subtle crack in its reflection, like it somehow knew it was no longer invincible. Inside, chaos hummed. Phones rang unanswered. Employees huddled in whispers. Gordon, the operations manager, looked pale when he saw me. Linda, he stammered, you probably shouldn't be here right now. I smiled politely. Then why is my name still on the building directory? He didn't answer. I walked past him and took the elevator to the top floor. The doors opened to the familiar smell of leather and coffee. My father's office door was ajar. Inside, Rhett was pacing. Tie loose, eyes bloodshot. Dad sat behind his desk, rigid, phone in hand, voice low and seething. When he saw me, his tone broke. You, he hissed, hanging up mid-sentence. What did you do? I stepped forward slowly, water dripping from my hair onto the marble. I did what you taught me, Dad. I took control. Rhett slammed his hand on the desk. You destroyed everything. The bank froze our accounts. Payroll's gone. You had no right. No right. I interrupted, my voice calm, almost gentle. You cut me off. You said we were done. That message sounded pretty clear. My father stood, fists tightening. You don't understand business, Linda. You've put us in danger. I laughed once. Quiet, but sharp. No, Dad. You put yourselves in danger when you used my name to commit fraud. His jaw twitched. You think this is fraud? Oh, absolutely, I said, and the bank agrees. For a moment, silence filled the room. My mother appeared in the doorway, eyes red, clutching a crumpled tissue. Sweetheart, she whispered, we can fix this. You just need to tell the bank it was a misunderstanding. I turned toward her, and for the first time, I didn't see my mother. I saw a woman who had spent her life apologizing for someone else's choices. It's not a misunderstanding, I said softly. It's math. Rhett stormed toward me, but Dad stopped him with a raised hand. Sit down, he barked. Then, lowering his voice, he looked at me the way he used to when I was little and forgot to double-check an invoice. We're family. Linda, you don't do this to family. You're right, I said. Family doesn't use each other as financial shields. Family doesn't erase someone's name when they've outlived their usefulness. My voice shook slightly, but I didn't stop. You wanted control. You have it, but now you'll face what that control costs. My father exhaled slowly, his expression unreadable. You're making a mistake. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said, but at least it'll be my mistake. Then I placed a sealed envelope on his desk. Inside were printed copies of every fraudulent transfer, every duplicate invoice, every falsified signature with Danielle's legal certification at the bottom. The bank will want to speak with you, I said. Soon? I turned to leave, but my father's voice followed me. Linda, he said, quietly this time, almost weary. You think you're free now? You're not. You'll always be one of us. I stopped at the door, hand on the frame, and glanced back. No, Dad, that's what you never understood. I was never one of you. And with that, I walked away. Down the elevator, through the lobby, past the rain-streaked windows. Outside, the drizzle had turned into sunlight, breaking through gray clouds, soft, hesitant. But there, I stood for a long moment, watching it. The sound of the city replaced the noise of the past. 2 weeks later, Wrangle Autoware filed for bankruptcy protection. The audit had uncovered extensive misuse of funds, unreported income, and falsified records. The bank repossessed several locations. Rhett disappeared for a while, rumor had it. He'd gone to Florida. My father refused to comment publicly, citing internal restructuring. My mother tried to reach out once, leaving a message that ended with, "We never meant to hurt you." I didn't call her back. I wasn't cruel. I was done. Danielle handled the legal aftermath efficiently. My liability was zero. My credit untouched. My financial independence secure. I rented a small office downtown and began consulting for small family-owned businesses, teaching them what not to do, how to protect themselves, how to separate love from loyalty. My first client was a woman named Teresa, whose husband had left her with a pile of debt. When I helped her rebuild her company from scratch, she hugged me and said, "You're a lifesaver." I smiled and thought, no, just someone who finally learned how to swim. Months passed. I moved to a quieter neighborhood near the lake. Some nights I'd sit on the balcony with a glass of wine, watching the ripples turn gold in the sunset. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vengeful. I felt clean. Freedom doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. One morning, a letter arrived in my mailbox. No return address, just my name in my father's handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Linda, we lost the house. Your mother is with her sister. Red's gone. I don't expect forgiveness. I only hope you understand that everything I built was meant to protect you, even if I failed to show it. Take care of yourself. Dad. I stared at the letter for a long time, then folded it carefully and placed it in my desk drawer. I didn't hate him. I didn't love him either. I simply accepted that some people build empires out of fear and that tearing them down is sometimes the kindest act of all. A year later, I attended a small business conference in Dallas. As I stepped off the stage after giving a talk on ethical entrepreneurship, a young woman approached me. Ms. Rangel, she said nervously, your story gave me hope. My dad used my name for a loan too. I thought I was trapped. I smiled. You're not trapped, I said. You just haven't realized the door was open. She laughed through tears. As she walked away, I thought about how far I'd come from invisible daughter to independent woman, from pawn to player. The past still existed, but it no longer defined me. I drove home that night with the windows down, the wind tangling my hair, the highway stretching endlessly ahead. When I reached my apartment, I took out my old laptop, opened the folder once labeled Redemption Plan, and hovered over the delete key. My cursor trembled for a moment before I pressed it. The files vanished one by one until the screen was blank. No evidence, no ghosts, just me. I poured myself a cup of tea, stepped onto the balcony, and watched the city lights flicker. Somewhere I imagined my father sitting in a small rented office, maybe still trying to rebuild, maybe not. Either way, it didn't matter anymore. The silence that once felt suffocating now felt peaceful. Because this time, it wasn't erasure. It was closure. I whispered into the night, half to myself, half to the memory of who I used to be. I'm done surviving your story. I'm writing mine now. And in that quiet declaration, something powerful shifted. The girl who once signed papers she didn't understand, who mistook obedience for love, was gone. In her place stood a woman who knew the difference between loyalty and self-respect. The rain had stopped for good. The road ahead was finally hers.